Maureen Pugh.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. It's a great pleasure for me to stand and speak to this budget, Bill English's 8th and my first. And it was with some anticipation that I waited for Budget Day. It was almost like a child waiting for Christmas. Excited about the potential that this package held for me, Mr Speaker, and not just for me, but for the people of New Zealand. And I was not disappointed. With rising surpluses and falling debt, this gives the country the ability to make choices it simply did not have 8 years ago. The benefits from this budget, Mr Speaker, are spread across the whole country and throughout all sectors. Innovative New Zealand, $761 million to help grow and diversify the economy.
That's right, fantastic.
We all know, Mr Speaker, that if we don't keep moving ahead, we are in fact standing still or moving backwards, because the rest of the world will overtake us. To invest in innovation is an absolute essential for us. The broadband initiatives, $2 billion investment into UFB and the rural broadband initiatives. This has already created 4,000 jobs across New Zealand. It is extending out into the rural areas of New Zealand and making us more connected, making us more competitive. Public infrastructure like transport and schools receive a $2.1 billion investment. That's absolutely massive and essential and recognised by this government. $1.44 billion extra for education over the next 4 years. This brings our investment next year to a record $11 billion into education. Tourism, this is one that is near and dear to my heart because of the area that I live in on the West Coast. $37 million which will go into small regional communities with pressures on them brought about by the success of our investment into tourism and promotion. So small communities will be able to access, for small projects like car parks and public toilets, the things that tourists and the success of tourism bring into our rural communities. And this will be great news for West Coast Tasman, I can assure you. Health, of course, is an absolutely outstanding winner in this budget, Mr Speaker, $2.2 billion extra over the next 4 years. And I'm particularly proud that I can stand here with the knowledge that $9.7 million extra was found to support the new Greymouth Hospital. This now brings that budget to $77.8 million, and this is a huge relief to the people of the West Coast. And I'm so grateful that this government recognised that need. And on top of that, we've also recognised that an extra $3 million will be going into the West Coast DHB for their operational costs. So a big thank you to Minister Coleman for recognising that. Another good news story that's heading into West Coast Tasman is the project that will see a new road bridge across the Terra River. No longer will we have to share our bridge with a train. And although it's a quaint and often a tourist attraction, and I've witnessed many times a camper van stopped in the middle of the road and a tourist standing in the middle of the train tracks, photographing the train coming towards them. So in terms of health and safety, I think that's an extremely good investment, and I look forward to that day as well. But what worries me, Mr Speaker, is that all of the gains that are made by this government into tourism, into gold mining, which is a huge employer on the coast, into dairying, another massive investment on the West Coast, into forestry and fisheries, is all put at risk if the unholy alliance of the Reds and Greens that gives us that muddy brown colour ever get their hands on it. We know how the Greens influenced Labour Party policy when I promoted the wind-thrown timber bill that went through this House under urgency in 2014.
That's right.
We didn't get the support that we needed or wanted, but unfortunately, correct, I wasn't even in Parliament, but this government recognised a common sense solution to a natural event.
What a good government.
And we got that legislation through. Bill English, you have delivered a fantastic budget. It's solid and it's sensible. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Tim